intend to have fun. I intend to be me. I intend to have fun being me. I intend to be open and honest and vulnerable and to be a conduit. Just say what I need to say what I need to say. I don't know. It's funny because I didn't necessarily feel like there was anything I needed to say. But I felt inspired to do this. A thing that I haven't done probably since the last time it was, I guess maybe summer on the balcony. It's funny how warm weather, how it's easier to feel good when the sun is shining and when it's warm outside. And then storms come, cold winds, snow and ice and all of that, and brown grass and gray skies, and all of a sudden there's all these what feel like built-in excuses to feel bad. Winter was interesting for me. I spent some time hibernating, which was good. Taking stock of who I am versus who I was being. Learning to love all of it. It's easy to love who I am, this limitless being of pure positive love and acceptance. It's not so easy to love who I was being, who I am still being in certain ways, this limited, insecure, sometimes needy, controlling version of me. I've seen, though, over the past few months as I've sort of crawled out of my hole, I've seen how the more I love all of the versions of me, especially the controlling, needy, insecure, limited ones, how the more I love all of those versions, how the gap between who I am and who I'm being shrinks. When I give myself boundless grace, when I allow the thought tornadoes to just spiral and spiral and just allow them to be, then eventually they spin out on their own. And the less I resist them, the more they just sort of move into the background of my mind, of my awareness. So I feel like there was all kinds of upheaval in my personal life. And I probably even perceived it as being much bigger than it actually was, as we tend to do. It felt very real to me. Lots of fears of loss of love, loss of relationships, fears of change, lots of self-doubt. But what all of that taught me, so many things. What I'm capable of. Another example of my ability to withstand all of this pressure and maybe crumble a little bit, but see how good I am at putting myself back together and finding an even more beautiful formation. It also just really showed me how deep the spiral can go when I let my mind run away with me. And somehow through it all, I learned to, like I said, move those racing thoughts, allow them to fade into the background, loving up on them, patting them on the head like a little kid that's throwing a tantrum, holding space for them, but not attaching myself to them. So now it's not that I have removed all of that self-doubt or all of those insecurities or all of my controlling nature. That is still alive and well. Just ask my children. But I have gotten a lot better at holding space for all of that and allowing it to exist and integrating it in, just doing what I've been doing with all this information that I've been consuming, which is applying the is it true filter. Does this serve me? What can I glean from this? Take what I like and leave the rest. And when I do that, those thoughts that may always be there, I don't think it's a life sentence though, but those thoughts that exist that don't necessarily feel good and are not necessarily in alignment with who I am and what I want, they end up playing in the background, like a show that I can choose to tune into or to tune out of. The more I do that, the more I just consciously choose to tune out or to tune into more interesting programming, whether that is the beautiful green grass or the smiles on my children's faces or, the way I love my hair is doing this thing today, which isn't necessarily, it's okay. Whatever little thing I can find to appreciate, whatever excuse I can find to feel good, the more I do that, the quieter those thoughts get. And the quieter those thoughts get, and the more I tune into the things that are working, the things that feel good, the things that I love and appreciate and want more of, the higher the vibration of the programming that ends up playing. So I still get to choose whether to tune in or tune out, but I do notice with that appreciation, with that gratitude, with that allowing, with that grace that I give myself, that the tone of the thought patterns change. And there's a lot more pumping myself up. There's a lot more admiration for myself and who I am and what I'm doing here that comes through, that's playing in the background. And that is, I've had phases of that. But for that to be the overall theme of the noise, it feels pretty nice. And it makes it a lot easier to notice when it shifts back, and it can be something small that causes the hop onto the other tracks. I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million more. It's all about the awareness for me now. Like, even just the awareness that I have dipped back into limitation, for lack of a better word, that awareness changes. Even if I don't immediately come out of the limiting beliefs or limiting thoughts or whatever it is that I'm experiencing, I'm aware of it, so I automatically become the observer rather than becoming the limitations themselves or identifying with them. And that is powerful as fuck for me. It feels like half the battle, and so then it's just a matter, rather than having to dig myself out of this hole, it's just a matter of like flipping the script just a little bit, turning the other cheek, like Joshua would say. I've been focusing more and more on, I've been on this kick for a while now, but more and more on purity of expression. So really paying attention to, especially my speech, because I spend a lot of time monitoring my thoughts, like I was just talking about. And so not for a while, in the beginning stages, it turned into sort of self-censoring where I was judging myself for saying, I don't, I won't, I can't, and it was almost a little bit of like self-flagellation for going into the negative. But now it's really become more about just wanting to convey these thoughts, feelings, ideas that I have, to express them in the most accurate way possible, to paint this picture with my words. So one example of that is with my kids. So we go to the store. This just happened the other day. We were at Target. We go to the store, and I know how much more smoothly things can go when I have a list, So I can just say, oh, we have this list. We're getting X, Y, and Z, and that's it. And yada, yada, yada. When I don't have the list, that device, it can be a lot more tricky, sort of navigating all of the I wants. Can we get, what about that? Oh, I want this. I want that. What, can we get this? Can we get that? I'm just going to put this in the cart. Neighbor kids, I just met them earlier tonight. So I noticed how often I was saying, no, we don't need that. No, we're not getting that. No, you can't have that. And it's fine and it's normal. It's human. The other day, though, when I just happened to be a little bit more on point, on top of my vibration, I guess, if you want to call it that, I found myself, and I wasn't necessarily in the best mood, but I heard myself repeating this, and I loved it. And I've taken it and I've turned it into a mantra that I use just for myself. But so we're in the checkout line, and they have all the wonderful shiny things, all the things filled with sugar, all of everything that a kid could want to put in a basket at the very last moment, or put on the conveyor belt. And both kids were just this, that. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And my automatic response was, we have everything we need. 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 I know you want that. We have everything we need. So just that idea, it felt so much more empowering in that moment to express what I was feeling in that way, rather than, no, I don't want to buy that for you. No, I'm trying to save money. No, I'm all these things. It was just, we really did. We had everything we needed. We had the new shoes because the toes were busted out on the others. We had the tank tops because they get a new one and they want to wear the same one over and over. So rather than rotating the same couple of new ones, we added another new one in there. We had the bananas. We had the things we needed. And that's been a soothing balm for myself, because there's always more that I want and that I think that I need, but when I remember, or that I see myself as not having, but when I repeat that to myself with the same fervor that I repeat it to those boys, I have everything I need. 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 It feels good and it feels true. The more I repeat it, the more real it feels. What's another example? I no longer say I miss you. And I feel a little bit of hesitation or maybe even a little bit of guilt. I'm releasing that more and more and more. I have a hard time identifying with the idea of missing something, missing someone, even my children, because I seize every opportunity I get to appreciate the energy of the person or the thing or the experience that I might be missing. So one example is in Vegas. 5 days, normally would have been with my kids during part of that time. And rather than feeling this emptiness, this sense of longing for them, every time I saw a little boy or a little kid in general, every time I got that same surge of excitement that I get when I see them, like, oh my God, imagine if they were here now, wouldn't it be fun to play with them? I'm hugging them in my mind. I'm playing with them in my mind. And so I do the same thing with my friends. I do the same thing with my lovers. I do the same thing with my dog. I do the same thing with a lot of people, things, and experiences. And so when someone says, I miss you, part of me feels like, why? I'm here. I mean, I'm here now. You're telling me that you miss me, but I'm right here. So we can spend time thinking about how when we weren't together, we missed each other, or we can appreciate that we're here now. We can appreciate that we are always energetically connected. I mean, for me, I spend a lot of time talking to people in my mind, maybe much to the dismay of some of my contacts in my phone. I feel less of a pull, less of a need to use this device to send those messages because I'm just sending them from here and from here even more. So I miss you is a phrase that has pretty much removed itself almost entirely from my vocabulary. What I say instead is I appreciate your presence. I'm excited to be with you. I think of you often. I've been hugging you in my mind. I love you. To me, those all mean the same thing. And sure, maybe it's semantics, but for me, it's very potent. For me, one way of approaching it is very empowering. And that's my word of 2018 is empower, which I forgot for a while there. And the other way is it feels disempowering, as if there's something missing from me, but I'm complete. I'm self-contained. And that can be kind of a foreign concept here in physical reality, or like a hard to grasp, easy to know but hard to feel. Simple but not easy, as Wendy would say. But the more fully I live in that idea, the easier it is to be a human. And I feel like that's what I'm doing here. I mean, I already know all of this stuff that I'm remembering, that I've been slowly remembering, and now it's picking up the pace in terms of who I really am, consciousness experiencing itself as consciousness, spirit embodied in the flesh, like we all are. Okay, yeah, that's easy, but how do I be that here now? How do I be a human? So I feel like my purpose is to be here now, figure that out, share what I'm learning, even when it's uncomfortable. Sometimes the sharing part requires me drawing back into myself and figuring out what I think before I go out and share it, so that the sharing doesn't see, I was going to say negatively impact the figuring out influence. I don't know. Sometimes I feel when I get to sharing, then I start sharing for the sake of sharing, for the feedback, for the whatever. I think it's natural. It's something that happens. So I draw back into me, and then I dive back out, and then I draw back into me, and then I dive back out. Maybe it's just the cycle that I'll keep repeating, or maybe I will find balance one day. Either way, it feels good to be learning my process and what works for me and giving myself grace through all of this. Because why not? What else am I going to do? Keep beating myself up like I did for the past 30 years, you know? Where did that get me? I mean, here. Well, it got me to 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever. To the point where I was so desperate to find a different way of being that I could open myself up to find everything I needed to get me here now. So I'm grateful for all of it, and I am excited at all there still is to learn. I know that it's a never-ending journey, and I love that. I love it. Even though it's tempting to think, oh, if I could just get there, wherever there is, it would be boring. I didn't come here to be bored. As much as I think I want the easy life, what I really want is to constantly be finding new ways of seeing life as easy, even when it's not. I just saw my sexy neighbor drive by. Yeah, so I was about to disqualify everything that I've just done here by saying I don't know if I've said anything important, but I feel good, and that's important. That's what matters. The more I remember that, the better I feel. So, yeah. Thanks for talking, and thanks for listening. I love you. And I'll do this again soon, or not. Who knows? All right.